Hello, good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen from different part of the world. I would like to welcome you all for the Agent E-Summit with Shoreline Community College. As usual, Shoreline Community College has been very supportive to help us organize this E-Summit and to give you as much as information about Shoreline Community College. Um, so if I'll give you brief about Shoreline Community College is the top 20 community college out of more than 1,400 colleges in the USA. Shoreline Community College offers not just over 100 plus program options on campus, housing options, small classes. It is close to Seattle, and considering the current COVID-19 situation, which is like very important point for us to know, the Shoreline has got an experience of nearly 20 years of online learning and much more. And to know that, I would like to welcome and thank Mr. Andrew Hall, Associate Director of International Outreach, for taking out his time for this session today. Let's make this session very interactive. Ask as many questions as you want, and to do so, please make use of the Q&A tab, as you must be aware of the Zoom feature because you have been attending a lot of our summits. So you will find Q&A tab in the bottom. So please put in your questions in the Q&A tab and let's make the session very interactive. If in case you face any technical concerns, you're not able to hear the video or not able to see the video or hear the voice or something, you can type it in the chat box and our support team will definitely help you out with the same. Now I'll not take much of your time and I'll make you introduce to Mr. Andrew Hull. So the stage is all yours, Andrew.
Thank you, Priyanka. As you mentioned, my name is Andrew. I'm the Associate Director of International Outreach at Shoreline Community College, just outside of the city limits of Seattle, Washington. It is early morning for me, but I hear it's the evening for you guys, so good evening. And hopefully, if you guys do have any questions or concerns, please make sure to use the Q&A tab as Priyanka mentioned. We'll definitely get those answered throughout the presentation today. So without further delay, we're going to hop right in here and we're going to start off with just a quick little video that I like to show a lot of our students and partner agencies to kind of kick off our presentation today.
There comes a moment when you must make a choice to follow the call, to go on the adventure, to transform yourself and the world around you. A moment when you make a commitment to change, to growth, and that choice, it defines you. It defines your destiny. There comes a moment when you see yourself differently as someone born to thrive. Shoreline Community College, write your story.
All right. I always like to start with that little video. It just kind of shows you what campus looks like and what opportunities we have to present at Shoreline Community College. It's short, it's sweet, to the point, and kind of gets a good little tour of campus to start out the day. So, all right. So I would like to start off with the types of institutions we have here in the United States. As I mentioned, we are a community college, and some of you might be thinking, what is that? So here in the United States, we have what we like to call three-ish different types of styles of colleges and universities. The first and most common being that research institution, which are those large private schools, or public schools, excuse me, here in the United States, such as Purdue or Penn State or Michigan State, those big state schools, having 50, 40, 60,000 students, large classroom sizes, very well funded by the state and the government. And a lot of students are going to those schools, those big name schools that everyone talks about. They have types of degrees as bachelor's, master's, and the doctoral PhD programs. Second type, and let's say the middle type of schools that we have here are those private colleges and universities, such as like Middlebury or Claremont or Rochester. Those schools that people might know about, a little bit smaller at times, and many of them being, like I mentioned, private schools, and those are funded either by the tuition dollars of the students or by donors for an alumni giving money back to the school out of their own pocket. So they don't receive funding from the government or the state. Those schools do have degree types such as bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees. And that last style that I mentioned, which is what Shoreline is a community college. And that is a degree program which is called an associate's, the one that we haven't mentioned yet. And that is a 2-year degree. So students actually come to a community college, which are publicly funded, so government and states fund these schools. And then what happens is students come to us for 2 years, and then they transfer out to one of those maybe private colleges or universities or a research institution for the last 2 years of their bachelor's degree to earn that final bachelor's degree. So an associate's degree is that first 2 years of college, and they use those classes that they earn at the community college to transfer them credit for credit to their university to finish out their degree. And what I'll talk about later on is going to be why students might choose that option, because it sounds a little bit different, but the community college process is something that I do believe is going to be a great option for many, many of your students. So what can I learn at a community college? We have lots of different program options. The 2+2 is going to be our most common, which I just mentioned, doing 2 years of a community college, an associate's degree, and then transferring those 2 years to another university to finish out that 4-year bachelor's degree. We do have a high school completion program, which a lot of students from ages 16 and up who have the equivalent of grade 9 can actually start and complete high school and community college in 2 years, saving both time and money. We do have professional and technical programs such as a dental hygiene program, an RN, so registered nursing program. We have many different programs that students can either start online or in person once campus is open to complete a professional technical degree program, which is a little bit different than getting a bachelor's or a master's degree. We do have ESL, so if a student needs any additional support in English language, we do have an entire program on our campus. And that fifth and final option is going to be fully online learning. Obviously, with the COVID response, all of our classes are currently being taught online. We do have a few hybrid options. So if a student is already in the United States that you're working with and they want options to come to Shoreline and take classes, we do have that capability currently, which is great to hear. But we do have options that students can actually take full programs starting from day one to their diploma year to actually do fully online from India or wherever they're at in the world. So that 2+2 transfer, that is our bread and butter here at Shoreline. We are known for that across the country and now across the world. So what that means is you study for 2 years, you may about 85 to 90 credits, and you'll earn an Associates of Arts or an Associates of Science degree. And then you'll graduate from Shoreline, you get your cap and gown, you receive a diploma of your associate's degree, you walk across the stage, and then you actually transfer those classes you've already taken, those 90 credits, to another university to study for the additional 2 years. So here in the United States, I would say 99% of all students when they're doing their bachelor's degrees are taking that for 4 years. It's a 4-year degree. And what the community college is, it breaks down into 2 different schools for 2 different years. So you do 2 years at Shoreline and then 2 years at University of California, Berkeley, or NYU, or Brown, or University of Michigan, or University of Washington, you name it. We've transferred students to over 200 different universities and colleges across the United States, Canada, and France. So there's lots of options for students to transfer their credits and complete that bachelor's degree at 2 different schools and kind of go through that process, receiving both an associate's degree and a bachelor's degree. Some of the programs that we have on our campus, many people don't really understand how wide variety of classes and programs we have at community colleges, and especially at Shoreline. So we have over 90 different program areas within our Associates of Arts and Associates of Science degrees. Anything from business and anthropology, architecture, Eastern Asian studies, political science. We have pre-nursing, psychology, like I mentioned, sociology. We have geography, and a great mathematics and engineering program. So in our science programs, I mentioned engineering. We have aeronautical, biochemical, civil, computer, electrical, industrial, mechanical, and material science engineering programs on our campus. So if students are interested, want to get that base understanding of engineering, Shoreline could be a great option for them. Along with that, we do have pharmacy and nursing and physics, and we do have a pre-dental program. We have an amazing dental hygiene program on our campus as well. So there are a lot of options when it comes to the program areas that students can choose from. I did see a question coming in here about updating on more of the engineering programs and what current scenarios look like when it comes to internships. And that's a great question. With the COVID response and being everything majority of things being closed and people working from home, that opportunity for internships and what classes look like are a little bit different right now. So our hope right now is that our classes will be open at more of an extent for on-campus education come this winter, so in January of 2021. But a lot of schools are already in the process of being ready to be online for fall or winter of 2021 as well. We are still hoping that we can be open, but what that means is all of our classes online are being able to open for students, including our engineering students. As Priyanka mentioned earlier in the presentation, we have been online for over 20 years. We have a lot of experience about having online courses. So when your students are coming to us, this is not a new thing. Community college, and especially Shoreline, has had the opportunity to present education for students on an online platform prior to this COVID response. So it's something that we've already honed in, and we have been working very hard on over a few decades now to support education for students in that way. So when it comes to engineering, students will be taking their math courses, they'll be doing their physics labs, they'll be doing things online to kind of continue their education on the timeline they're hoping for. But again, students want that in-person education, and they want those internship opportunities. And that's something that we find is extremely important, which is why we build those classes and that type of academia into our curriculum when it comes to our engineering and a lot of our STEM programs. So what that is a lot of students might be getting internships in their home country, or we can work with them to get internships here in the United States working online, because a lot of large companies and organizations are working fully remote as well. So when students are taking internships and classes online, you can do that. You can be taking an internship online and still be getting those credits and that experience with an organization if they are taking classes online and not being able to come to the United States. So I do know that the consulate in India for the United States are opening up and having opportunities for students to take their visa interviews come October, and that's just a month away here. So I do hope that students are able to start getting back into the United States and coming into classes and getting those internships in person. But one thing that we have been working on in the past couple months here, because we're going on almost 7 months of being in quarantine and lockdown here in the Seattle area since early March, that we had a lot of students doing their internships fully online. So I hope that answers that question pretty quickly here, but we're going to keep moving forward. So make sure to keep asking those questions, because I will be checking in and looking at those. So that transfer process I mentioned is that 2+2. I just do like to really show this point, because it is such a big part of what Shoreline Community College does. Is you do take 2 years at Shoreline, and then you really do have the option to transfer almost anywhere in the United States and a few other countries as well, into some big name schools. So like I mentioned, like Arizona, Indiana University, University of Washington, which is where a lot of our students come. Shoreline is a very, very short drive from the downtown campus of University of Washington. I would say maybe about 10 minutes away. So it's a very, very close campus to us. So a lot of students will be actually taking classes at them once they graduate from Shoreline. So top 25 program in the country at the University of Washington, and we have a phenomenal connection with them. Many of our students do transfer, but other students are, they're very interested in going to other schools, and we have students who go to University of Berkeley in California, and UCLA, NYU in New York, and the University of Texas. So a lot of students are really choosing to widen their varieties of universities to attend. So Shoreline's not just gonna be a small school going to other small schools. We do place students at big state and large private research institutions across the country. One interesting program that community colleges are very, very known to have, and one thing that we're very happy about here at Shoreline, are our transfer admission guarantees. And what that means is when a student is admitted to Shoreline, they have this guaranteed admission letter from one of these 30+ colleges that we work directly with every single year. And that means they're directly admitted into that program at that university after they complete their program at Shoreline. So basically, when a student applies to Shoreline and they pick one of our transfer admission guarantee programs, which they are all listed currently on this slide, you get 2 admission letters. So you can take 2 admission letters to the visa office and be like, hey, I'm going to Shoreline for 2 years, and I've already been conditionally admitted to University of Iowa, or California State University of Chico, or Arizona State, University of Kentucky. You can look at them all on the screen here. And they can go to the visa office with those 2 letters saying, yep, once I graduate from Shoreline, I'm already admitted into Washington State University for engineering, and I already have a pathway there. So it helps with the visa interview, but it also helps with the student kind of creating that path from what Shoreline can offer them to that top tier university they're looking to go to. And the cool thing is with these transfer admission guarantees is the student can use one and get it right away. Like they're really excited maybe to go to Washington State University, but as they take their classes here at Shoreline, they're like, ooh, I changed my major, or oh, I learned about this new program at a school I've never heard of before, and I want to go there. That's great. They can do that. They're not stuck with their school they choose that transfer admission guarantee. It's just an opportunity for them to create a program pathway for the 4-year program, show the visa officer, show themselves what opportunities they have, and they can obviously change that once they get here. But these are just a great way to show what opportunities can come from the programs here at Shoreline, but also the pathway and the transition from one school to the next and how easy that can be. So this is an example of these tag letters that students get emailed to them, or actually mailed to them, currently emailed, with the I-20 that they'll receive when they're looking to do their transfer. So the one on the left here truly is a letter of admission to the University of California State School System. This one is for Riverside, but if you look at the top, you see all of them. You see Berkeley, Davis, Irvine, Los Angeles, Riverside, San Diego, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, Latin Cruz. So a lot of options there. So this is actually the letters that the students will get printed for them. So when they're going to that visa interview, they can literally show like, hey, I'm going to Shoreline for 2 years, and I'm already admitted to the University of California, Riverside, or Washington State University with this letter, conditionally admitted. So it's a great use of examples that we have here at Shoreline. So I'm seeing that some people are raising their hands, which is great. If you have a question, please put it in the Q&A, and that way I will be able to see it and answer it as we get to it. So thank you for participating today. It's really helpful to see. But for the 2+2 transfer, I do like to have a slide in here of where students have gone in the past 5 years, just to really show you where we are sending our students, because this is kind of a newer option for a lot of students in India to kind of think about. You know, community college, it's not a highly ranked and highly like internationally known school and school system and programming, and what does that really options really do show students. So again, here's just some more information and some more analytical data to show that community college is a great option for students to get into those top tier schools. So again, I'm not going to read them off for you. They're all kind of listed here, but just to point out some ones here: NYU, Indiana University of Bloomington, Georgia Tech. Berkeley is a big one for us. We send students to Berkeley every single quarter for transfer. I do want to point to the University of British Columbia. I did mention Canada earlier. We do send students to Canada for their transfer. Not many schools in Canada will take community college transfer, but one of the best ones at the University of British Columbia does take our credits for transfer. So students have transferred there as well. So moving on to our next program that we have talked about is going to be our ESL and College Bridge. So students do have the opportunity to come for English language program. We do generally ask students to have some sort of IELTS, TOEFL, or Duolingo test for admission, but if a student tests just under what we're looking for, they meet our qualifications for this EAP 80 class, we might be able to work with them to get into Shoreline, take a few English level courses, and get them into the academic college level. So if they do test into that EAP 80 class, they are able to take maybe 1 or 2 college level courses while taking some English as well. But we'll kind of go over what the standards for that are going to be in a little bit. I do throw in some testimonials here just to kind of show what students are able to do. So this is Diao. He came, obviously he was from Tianjin, China, went to the University of Michigan after his time at Shoreline. He actually started in our ESL program, didn't quite meet the cut for our English language, but came here, took his ESL, and then transferred to the University of Michigan after 2 years into the sports management class. So just kind of a great option for students coming to Shoreline first and then getting into those top tier schools. Obviously, when he graduated, he has a diploma from University of Michigan and is going to be doing great things. He's in his senior year this year there. So High School Completion Plus, this is a very interesting program that probably no one has either heard of before or has even thought to think to do. And this is something that is very specific to the state of Washington alone. So right now, we're the only state that allows this program to exist. So if you have a student who's 16 or will be turning 16 in the coming next quarter or semester, and they're really looking for a great option to get to the US, take those courses and start their college career, this could be a great program for them. So what it does is the normal high school here in the United States is a 4-year high school program. You do 2 years community college, 2 years university transfer, 8 years of education from high school to bachelor's degree. That is the traditional path. But what the High School Completion Plus program does, it is allows the student to do 2 years or sometimes even 1 year of high school, so finishing of grade 9 in the United States equivalent, and then actually coming to Shoreline and taking classes toward both their high school and their community college associate's degree, which they can complete in 2 years, and then transfer on to university to complete the last 2 years of college. So you went from an 8-year program of 8 years of education, time, and money, and we just condensed it down into 6 years, where students actually graduate from Shoreline with both an associate's degree of either arts and science and a Washington high school diploma. So they're going to get 2 degrees for the price of 1, because there's no additional cost for this program. And they get a high school diploma from the state of Washington here in the US, and they get their associate's degree to transfer on to the college of their choice based on their grades and decision of program area in 2 years. It's a great cost savings program. And again, students need to be at least 16 years of age and have finished the equivalent of at least 9th grade high school program here in the United States. So there's no additional requirements when it comes to grade point average or percentage of class ranking. It's the same as the traditional for here at Shoreline, which is about 55-60% grade average or higher. And then obviously the English scores, which we'll get to in a little bit. So it's a great program for students who are looking for to get to the US or US education, or just wanting that opportunity to start their bachelor's degree and complete that a little bit earlier. So again, another testimony of a student who did this. This is Megan Lowe. She's from Hong Kong. She actually went through our high school completion program. She came to Shoreline at the age of 16 years of age, so a very young age. Lucky enough, she was ready for that in the maturity level, but she actually finished her high school completion plus and her associate's degree, so the first 2 years of colleges, by age 18. And did so well here that she actually transferred to University of California, Berkeley, and this May actually graduated from Berkeley at the age of 19 years of age, which I think is a phenomenal testament to what Shoreline is capable of doing. So it definitely gives students the opportunity to do that and use that High School Completion Plus program to get into a dream school of hers, which was the University of California, Berkeley. Our next program that I mentioned earlier is going to be that professional and technical degree program. So this is going to be an option for students who have either completed high school, already completed a bachelor's degree, already completed a master's degree, and they're looking to get a little bit of additional educational output. So all of our programs are listed here. Ones I do want to point out are our medical fields, and this is going to be our dental hygiene program, our medical laboratory technology program, and our nursing program. So these are programs that many students from across the globe really look for us for. And these are programs that a student can have almost no background in nursing or dental or medical laboratory technology and actually be able to come to us, apply into these programs, and then get admitted and go through them and come out as an RN or a dental hygienist or a medical lab technician. So I do want to point out that there are 2 different pathways when it comes to our nursing program. So that's a very big program. Many people and students are interested in the option of becoming a nurse and getting that medical profession. And here at Shoreline, we have 2, actually, I could say 3 different options when it comes to that. So what the majority of our students will do is they'll actually apply to us into our pre-nursing program. And this program allows students saying, coming into the High School Completion Plus program or coming right out of high school looking to start their bachelor's degree in nursing, and they'll start taking their basic biology courses, their chemical courses, they're going to be taking their anatomy and physiology courses. And that way they're taking those courses from Shoreline, to get them accessible to apply into our direct RN program. And what that means is students need to have some sort of prerequisite courses to even apply into our nursing program, which is generally a pretty common thing here in the United States, where to get into a nursing program, you have to have the prerequisite courses, having good grades and good knowledge of that to even get into a nursing program. There's not a lot of direct nursing programs that students apply from high school into a direct nursing program. There are a few out there. Generally, they're very, very expensive because they're at private schools and they're very, very competitive. So what Shoreline allows students is, at a very good cost-saving opportunity, is they're going to take those biology courses, those chemistry courses, those anatomy and physiology courses at a very cheap cost and at a very good education, because we do have a direct RN program on our campus. And this allows them the opportunity to take those courses at a program where they can even apply into and hopefully get direct admission into it from the same teachers, same professors, and create that same foundation of education here at Shoreline. The other option of nursing that I did talk about earlier is going to be that direct RN program, which can be either a 6-quarter or an 8-quarter program. So that's either 1.5 or 2 years program, depending on how fast a student wants to take those courses. And that is a program where a student actually applies directly to the nursing program. So there's only 2 programs on our campus, 3. One is not currently eligible for international students, but our dental hygiene and nursing programs are going to be directly admission into their program area. So when you're applying to Shoreline for any other program, you're actually applying to the college and not to a specific program. Once you're admitted, you pick your program and you're all set. However, with the dental hygiene program, direct dental hygiene program, and our direct nursing program, you do have to apply directly to that school within the college itself, and then their admissions team and their advisors and their professors actually choose the students who are admitted into the program, because it is very, very competitive. They're going to be looking at what courses they've taken for their prerequisites. They're going to look at their grades. They're going to see if the student has had any experience within the medical field, has done any shadowing opportunities of a nurse or a doctor or a dental hygienist. So things that are important to that program. But again, it's a great, great program. Students can come out with an entire direct nursing degree for less than $40,000 US for tuition. And that is something that most schools cannot say. It's a very, very cost-effective program. It's a very difficult program to get into, but students who are having the capability and academic background to get into these programs, they can have a very high-paying job coming out with very, very, very minimal educational cost. So like I said, they are very, very difficult to get into, but they are also great programs that do allow international students to apply for them and do get into them every single year as well. So coming out as a nurse or a dental hygienist here in the Seattle area, the value of that degree is going to be very, very high, because those professions are both not only very needed currently, not only in the Seattle area, but across the globe, but they're also high paying jobs. So here, a nurse in Seattle or a dental hygienist here in Seattle, they're going to be making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year starting salary. So it's a very, very good program. Medical lab technician, much of the same. We have companies such as Fred Hutch, large research institutions such as the University of Washington Medical Center that students are coming out and getting jobs at, that are great opportunities here in Seattle. And we'll talk a little bit about the job market here in Seattle kind of coming up at the end of the presentation here. But I just want to point out the rigor and the opportunities that Shoreline does provide as a community college for students to get into top tier programs. So speaking of nursing, this is one of our international students who did take our nursing program. This is Hadi. She is from Cameroon, Africa, and Shoreline has the opportunity to provide her with a nursing degree. So just a quick quotation there talking about how international students do have the opportunity for nursing here on campus. And the fully online learning. So this is going to be the last program I directly talk about in our presentation today. And this is one I think is going to be so important with the COVID response that we have here across the globe and here in Seattle specifically and at Shoreline. So our 2+2 transfer programs are fully online right now. So what that means is students can actually start and finish in a full associate's degree fully online right now, which is something that we have never had on campus. We've always liked to have that lab component where we ask students to either come to campus, and we do have some programs, some of our humanities-based programs that can be done fully online all the time. But when it comes to like some of the engineering courses or some of the lab-based programs, biology, chemistry, physics, things of that nature, it's always important to have that very specific lab science and hands-on education, which we always have here at Shoreline Community College. But currently, with campus being almost fully online as our programming, we do have a hybrid option come this fall. We've had to remove some of our lab bases to fully online, which our professors have done very good jobs with. So students are able to take some of those harder labs from home on an online basis and still have those credits for that lab. And I did mention earlier the professional technical degrees as well, from our 10-week certificate programs to the full 2-year associate's degrees, aka the nursing, dental hygiene, medical lab professions. Those are being taught online right now and having that opportunity. So students are able to do that from their home country of India and take those classes asynchronously, which I think is very, very important. So what our online classes are being taught on are not going to be on the same timeline that we have here in Seattle. So I know a lot of schools are, okay, well, I know you may be in India and you're 12 hours ahead of the current time zone that I'm in. Good luck trying to take classes when we have them at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which is 5 a.m. for you guys, or they're at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, that's 1 a.m. for you guys. Like, that's not a great learning environment for our students. So what Shoreline has done is we've actually put all of our classes asynchronously, which means students can take the classes when they want to. The classes are going to be recorded live, so students can join live and ask questions and be interactive with the other students in the classroom and the professor, or they can wait and look at the recording and go through that process when they want to, email the professor and get their questions answered through an online basis. So that's something that's very, very interesting that Shoreline has definitely done to accommodate students from all time zones. I do like to point out we do have an honors college on our campus. So if students are interested in a little bit more rigor, we do have a 20-student honors program. And the reason why students might choose to join our honors program is the fact that we do have an optional year-long research project with a mentor. And they present that as their capstone at the University of Washington Undergraduate Research Symposium, where a lot of companies and jobs actually come to that symposium and look at students. So it gives our students the same opportunities as if you're going to the University of Washington to apply into that, but our students get automatic entry into this symposium, where most University of Washington students actually have to apply to get into this. So our honors program allows students that opportunity to work with a mentor. Not only could it be a professor, but someone from the local community, or someone who has a job, say maybe at Amazon or Facebook or Microsoft or Boeing or one of the large organizations that's homed here in Seattle, Washington. But they do get access to the symposium as well, where they can present their research with their mentor and get that exposure to new jobs and mentorship opportunities. So with the COVID-19 response, I do just want to list out a few things that we've been doing here. So classes for summer 2020 were online and this fall as well, coming to start here in late mid-September. So we did have that hybrid option. So some students, if they have visas and they are able to come before the start of classes, which I would highly doubt at this point, because we're getting there. So actually starting our open week is going to be this week. Parent orientation is on Friday. So, but for the winter, if students are wanting to do classes still online, we will still be supporting that. We're hoping, fingers crossed, to be in person. But again, we do have additional room in our residence halls currently, so students are able to come live on campus. We do have online student and parent orientation, like I just mentioned. And the cool thing is all of our online tutoring and support services are still being given today. So if a student needs a tutoring session with another student or a TA or a professor meeting or support services from our library, even though the library may be closed, the support and services are still being offered online, again, always free of charge. So why Shoreline? I've talked about the programs. I've talked about the opportunities that we have. I do see some questions about how to apply into these programs and things. I will make sure to highlight them at the end and get those questions answered for you guys. We're going to kind of move on to the Seattle area and why students might want to come to this specific school in this specific region. So, as I mentioned, Shoreline is in the top 20 community colleges out of almost 1,500 community colleges for most international students. So, our student population of international students is the 18th highest population of all community colleges in the country. So I do like to always say that just because it really does show the diversity of students that we have on campus. We have students from over 50 countries on our campus, taking classes from over 30 different countries right now online. It's just a great opportunity to kind of belong to an area that is home to many students from a lot of different areas. It also shows the quality of education. So it's just not students from, say, Indonesia or students just from Vietnam that think Shoreline's great. We have students from all over the world, from all continents, minus Antarctica, that really do enjoy the opportunity that Shoreline can provide for you. Some quick facts: about 10,000 full-time students on campus or online, about 1,000 international students from 50 plus countries. We do have an 83-acre tree campus, so we are actually recognized as from the Arbor Day Foundation, so the trees foundation here in the United States, saying that we do have a tree campus, saying that it's beautiful, and showing that we do house nature and the opportunities for that on campus. And again, we are only 2 kilometers from the city of Seattle, and we are a 15-minute to the city center drive. So we are very, very close. So we are considered to be in a suburb of Seattle, but we are that first suburb town outside of the city limits of Seattle. So we might not have some of the big city feelings, but we don't have that big city cost either. So it gives students that opportunity to be right downtown, but save a little bit of money by living just outside of downtown. Again, we are in Seattle, Washington, not in DC. DC is on the East Coast. We are on the far northern side of the Pacific Coast. We are in what we call the PNW, Pacific Northwest of the United States. And I'll show you why many people like to come to the area here in a bit. So this is a quick picture of our campus. Like I said, we are a beautiful tree campus, and a lot of our buildings are in a Japanese style veranda style building. So a lot of the doors open to the outside. So there aren't a lot of hallways and indoor interior buildings. The majority of our classrooms are actually opening facing to the nature that we have of campus. So it provides students the opportunity to really enjoy the campus itself and meet each other, not sitting in the hallways in the darkness that we have. When it is dark here on this campus, everyone's outside and enjoying what we have as a campus. So art at Shoreline. Not all students are going to come to campus to be a nurse or an engineer, or maybe they are and they still have that hobby of art and they want to still pursue some of their hobbies and their goals and dreams in life. And Shoreline can provide that. We have a great art studio when it comes to sculpting and pottery, painting, drawing. We have an entire building for graphic and studio design arts. So we really do put a very big emphasis on art and expression here on campus that students can do either as a major program to take for academically or just as to continue as a hobby. Music and theater is also one other big thing that we have. One of our highly selective programs that we have on campus is going to be our studio engineering program, which basically means that students can actually do music with technology, learn how to dub music, learn how to run a soundboard, a light board, and then also edit and record music. We have an entire building that is a music building, and the top store is going to be music rooms, recording rooms, theaters in there, but the entire second level of that building is going to be strictly for and is a great facility for recording, editing, and producing music. So we have sound booths, we have recording studios, we have a recording amphitheater where actually the entire room itself, which can hold almost a 100-piece band in there, is actually an entire recording studio. So it is set up to record live music. And then we have all the facilities and soundboards to actually go ahead and edit and dub all that music at a professional level, which I think is very, very cool. So if any students are interested in that opportunity, that's something that Shoreline is actually known for internationally. The science and labs, the middle picture there is going to be a part of our dental hygiene program. Technician program is a very, very well-renowned program here in the United States. Many students from across the country and the world come to us for our dental hygiene program. And the facilities kind of show that here. We have an entire classroom, an entire building that is strictly made for this program. So it's a very, very highly sought after program here in the US. And then student life. Obviously, students are coming in for education. They're going to want a part of getting a good degree and getting that job and starting earning money and providing. but you still have to live your life as well. So the student life aspects of Shoreline are very, very important to us. We have sports teams, we have over 60 clubs and organizations, and students are really going to create a good friendship here with everyone they meet, both online and in person. And we have the facilities here to provide the great education and hobbies for that as well. So as I mentioned, I just really want to show exactly where we are at. So the top section here of that big little red dot, that is where Shoreline Community College is located. And that arrow there is all the way down to the city center of Seattle, Washington. So the city limits of Shoreline are very, very close, or of Seattle, excuse me, are literally touch the edge of Shoreline, which is the town that we are located in. So it is just a 15-minute drive to downtown. It is a very, very cool environment to belong to. Another picture of our campus. So the population of Seattle is about 3.5 million people. So it's not a very vast city, but it makes it a very, very good city to kind of belong to within that area, because students have the opportunity to meet a lot of different people. It's very well diverse when it comes to the options for students to meet, and then it comes to the jobs as well. So when students are looking at coming to, say, Shoreline or the Seattle area, there's a lot of options when it comes to schooling and then jobs and things of that nature. So what makes Shoreline and what makes Seattle, I think, a great area to belong to is the fact that I'm not from Seattle. I have lived in 2 countries and 5 different cities. I was born and raised in the city of Chicago, which probably many of you have heard about. It's one of the biggest cities in the United States and one of the biggest business markets in the country and the world. So why did I move to Seattle? Seattle is very diverse in its population, has some of the best food in the country, and Chicago is a food city, so let me tell you, the food here is phenomenal. But the people here are, I think, some of the most kind and open, warming people I've ever met. Everyone is out to help, and everyone's like smiling and saying hello to each other on the streets, so it's a very warm and endearing environment. And I think that's a great option for students, especially international students, to kind of come into a community that is open to having them here and is allowing them to be the same as they are. So it's a really cool environment. And then as we kind of go on, I'll show you some of the pictures, and then I'll get into why Seattle is one of the fastest growing cities in the country as well. So in this photo, I really do like this photo taken because it shows you the city's skyline, but also shows you Mount Rainier in the background and some of the trees that we do have here in Seattle. So I have been to India, I've experienced many of the cities there, and nature is something kind of hard to come by within the local city areas. And this kind of shows you right here that the drive from the Space Needle, which is the arrow on the left, to Mount Rainier, the arrow on the right, is only a 1 hour, 2 hour drive. So Mount Rainier is one of the highest peaks on the continental United States, over 14,000 feet in elevation. So it's a very, very tall mountain, and that brings mountain ranges and beautiful landscapes to the area that students have access to. We actually have a club that goes out and hikes and climbs and teaches them proper safety and environment when it comes to that. But then you also have the downtown area that students really enjoy to go see sporting events and enjoy the city atmosphere and meet new people and just walk around the city. This is a picture of Pike Place Market. This is an internationally renowned market that has international food from all over, and then students can go there and just kind of enjoy what the city has to offer. That's right downtown, right on the water, which is a cool environment. And we actually take students there during orientation to kind of walk around and experience the city downtown. I mentioned sports earlier. Seattle is home to many professional sporting teams. We have a soccer team, which I know the rest of the world calls football, but as this stadium here is showing at CenturyLink, this is American football. We have the Seahawks here. We have a baseball team, the Mariners, and we actually have a brand new hockey team, which is going to start at the beginning of next year, which will be the Seattle Krakens, which are our new hockey team, which is really cool. So students have the access to see professional sports here in the United States, but then also these large stadiums do bring in concerts and large events such as TED Talks and presidential elections and things like that. So there's a lot of opportunities to really enjoy the atmosphere here in Seattle. Wow, thank you guys so much for all the questions. As I mentioned, I will be getting to many of these a little bit later on during the Q&A slide. So please do bear with me. I will promise I will answer all of those, and we'll talk about what opportunities have for communication and working visas and permits, what grad students have to offer, and then a little bit more about our nursing program and other options we have in the STEM field. So do bear with me. I'm almost to the end here, and we'll get to those questions in a minute. So I mentioned earlier here the beauty that is the Seattle area. This is Mount Rainier National Park. We have the North Cascades National Park here as well, which is dividing line between Canada and the United States. I spend a lot of time personally up in the North Cascades doing hikes and environmental work. And then we do have Olympic National Park, which basically is the protecting barrier between the Pacific Ocean and the downtown Seattle area. So this mountain range is basically dividing us from open water, which is kind of nice, but we do live on the Puget Sound. So Seattle, Washington is right on the water, and Shoreline, as its name does talk, is actually right on the shoreline. It's about a 5-minute drive from a beautiful, beautiful ocean view. So we talked about the nature. Let's talk about the business. Let's talk about the opportunities that students have here at Shoreline and the Seattle area. So as you look at the screen, you're going to see some pretty big names, names that people might recognize right away. The Starbucks logo, that's a big one. Boeing, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Expedia.com, which is a very big travel company here online. It's used widely here in the United States. T-Mobile, which is actually one of the fastest growing communication conglomerates in the world currently. But the thing that all of these companies have in common right now is Seattle, Washington is the home of their headquarter buildings. So every company here has their headquarters and their main offices of their companies located here in downtown Seattle, Washington. So students have access to very, very large, internationally renowned companies by coming to Shoreline. Internships, job placement, networking, opportunities. And the cool thing is Shoreline, the 83 acres that our campus is located on, guess where we got that land from? The Boeing company gave us that land. So we have a very close connection with the Boeing company, and Boeing's largest plane manufacturing headquarters, guess where it's located? 20 minutes from campus. So students are interested in aeronautical engineering, or they're interested in aviation in any type of form. We have one of the best connections you can have with Boeing, as the fact that they gave us our land. Their owners of Boeing actually comes to our campus every now and then and just hangs out with us on our campus because that used to be their company's land. So we have these great connections with a lot of these major organizations just because where our location is. To show that off a little bit, this is one of our students, this is Agrim. She is from Kazakhstan, and she is kind of showing the really interesting pathway that community college and Shoreline can provide. So she started at Shoreline, applied to 4 years university. So she did her first 2 years at Shoreline, went to the University of Washington, and while at the University of Washington, got an internship with T-Mobile her junior year. And then she ended up getting her job after graduation at University of Washington, got a job from that internship, and now works full-time at T-Mobile as an electrical engineer. And as her testimonial shows, when after graduation, she applied to a lot of schools for engineering. She got into Purdue, top 5 program in the world for engineering, Georgia Tech, Arizona State, and the University of Washington. So she had many, many options to choose from when graduating from Shoreline to finish her engineering degree, and from all top programs. So Shoreline really does allow students the opportunity to get into their dream schools just 2 years later, while saving some time and getting accustomed to the US education system. And how that transfer process works is basically solely on these 4 people, and they do such a great job with working with our students. So we have 4 full-time academic advisors with over 75 years of combined experience. So our academic advisors, John, Ginger, Jessica, and Cynthia, they work full-time only with international students. So their jobs are solely to help students register for classes, pick out their program areas, and then help them and assist them in the transfer to their dream school or top-tier program they're looking to after they leave Shoreline. So that's what they do on a daily basis. They work with our students. They've all graduated from top tier schools. John and Ginger, I think, both went to University of Washington. I think Jessica went to Yale, if I'm not mistaken. Cynthia has many degrees from many other programs, and so does John. So they've been to schools such as University of California, Berkeley, top tier private schools, public schools. So they know the system very, very well. They've transferred students to over 200 plus programs at universities across the globe. So they really, really know how the system works and how to get students into the schools, either that they want to or that they can get into and make their careers the best they can. Some of the services that we provide are going to be airport pickup. We do offer 2 university transfer fairs a year, which allows, we actually bring over 100 plus universities and colleges that are looking for our students. So basically, we have colleges every single year asking us, hey, can we come to your campus and talk to your students? Hey, can we come get your students? How can we get more Shoreline students to come to our campus? We actually got an email from Georgia Tech last week to our advisor, John, who works with them, and says, hey, we're looking for more of your engineering students. How can we get more of your students? That is the quality of students that we provide from Shoreline, where we actually have some of the top tier programs asking us for students to go to their school. Let that sink in for a second. When students come to Shoreline, they're not going to be begging to get into different schools. We have schools come to us asking for our students every single year. And that's the education and the quality that we provide here at Shoreline. But again, student life is also super important. So this is a list of the 60 plus programs. We have on-campus employment. So that was a question that was asked a little bit earlier, and I will talk about that here and how that works. So here in the United States, when a student is on an F1 visa, which is the student visa that students need here in the US, they're able to take work up to 20 hours on campus for employment. So their permit is going to be for on-campus work only, and up to 20 hours. So here at Shoreline, you can actually work on campus in our office, or you can work in the cafeteria, you can work in the library, you can be a tutor, you can be a TA, a teacher's assistant, you can work with the athletics department, you can work with our automotive or nursing department. There's so many jobs on campus that students can apply for. And the cool thing about the Seattle area, as it is a fastly growing populated area, our minimum wage is also very, very high. We're actually one of the third or fourth highest minimum wages in the entire country, being at over $14 per hour. So students can actually come here, work, say, 15 hours a week at, say, $12, $13, $14 an hour. They're going to make a little bit of money here, which is a great opportunity for them to support their education, but also their life here in Seattle as well. So they're able to work on campus with their F1 visa. How do you work off campus? How do you get internships? And that's another great question. So we do help and provide support when it comes to that, and allowing students to work off campus so they can apply for what we call CPT, Curricular Practical Training. And what that means is a student can actually work in the field of study during their break quarter. So that each student is allowed a vacation quarter a year. So after taking 3 credits of continuous work, quarters of continuous work, they're actually able to take a vacation quarter and take off of school and hopefully get a job using CPT within their academic area. So they can apply. So say a student, as a green from Kazakhstan, as I showed earlier, she was an electrical engineer. She was able to use her CPT to apply to T-Mobile, and she actually got an internship with T-Mobile, and she worked there during her vacation quarter, getting experience, also getting paid, which was very, very nice. Not all internship opportunities are paid. I always like to point that out, so it depends on what job you get or what company you work for. And she was able to support her education through working at T-Mobile, and then ended up getting a job there after she graduated from the University of Washington. So there are opportunities to work here in the United States on your F1 visa. You want to make sure you do it in the proper way. So then once you graduate, you also are open to the idea of this OPT opportunity as well, optional practical training. And this gives students the opportunity to work full-time, 40 hours a week plus, at a job after they graduate with their bachelor's degree in an area of study that they have already completed in the United States. So it gives them the opportunity to work after graduation. If it's in a STEM field, it's 3 years. If it's in a humanities-based field, it's an additional 1 year of education through work. So you are able to work in the United States on an F1 visa, but again, make sure you're doing it properly, and our advisors will be able to support them through that effort, making sure that they're signing all the documents appropriately and getting jobs at the appropriate locations. Just another quick little testimonial here from Yorin. She is from Indonesia. She actually transferred to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is actually not too far from where I grew up. That's my home state. Great, great school. And she actually did it in food technology, which is something I find to be very interesting. She took nutrition and technology courses here at Shoreline, then transferred into a top-tier program at University of Illinois and getting into one of their programs. So, as I also mentioned, sports, so we do have a men's basketball, women's basketball, men's baseball, women's softball, women's volleyball, and women's soccer team on campus. So if students are wanting to participate in athletics here in the United States, we do have athletic teams for them to try out for and to participate in. So we're getting toward the end here, so we're going to get kind of the nitty-gritty of data and important dates. So our terms are typically 10 weeks. So we have 4 quarters per year. So we have a winter, a spring, a summer, and a fall quarter term, which is a little bit different than some of the semesters that you get the larger schools, which they have 2 different terms per year. We have 4. And why we chose to do this is because students have the opportunity to pick different classes. They're in classes at a shorter time, so they're not expanding their education in one subject area for a very long time. This way we cut it down into, they're not taking as many subjects as once, they're taking less subjects for a shorter amount of time, so they can really hone in on that one academic area. And we find that students actually are prepared better doing it this way because they're not worried about taking 5 different courses. They're worried about taking 3 for a shorter amount of time, so it's less knowledge all at once, so they actually retain that information better. So these are our start dates that we typically have per year. Our next one's going to be our January start term, which actually starts on, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the 2nd of January. This year is when orientation starts, which is listed here, which is the exact date, and then classes begin on the 8th. So it's a great time to start classes here in the United States. And then the housing options. So we do have a on-campus residence hall that opened up in fall of 2019. So it is 1 year old coming this month actually, which is all suite style. So they come fully furnished, full kitchens. So students don't have to worry about bringing anything. All they do is either bringing bedding, but we always recommend they buy it here because that's heavy and takes up space in their luggage. And they'll be all set in the residence hall. These are the breakdown of monthly rates. So you don't actually pay the institution, which I think is really nice. So you pay on a monthly basis, which brings the cost of what you owe up front down significantly. Other housing options is we do have homestay options. So if a student is either under the age of 17 for a high school completion, or wants to have more of a family orientation when it comes to living here in the Seattle area and going to school, they can work with one of the 3 partner organizations we show here on the screen and actually live with a local family in the area. They get 2 meals made for them every day. A third can be made if they want it by themselves. They get their own bedroom, generally their own bathroom, and they're living within a family home within the area here in Seattle. So they get that support of a family that has been vetted both by us and the organization to be safe and accommodating for all international students. So it's a great option. It's also the cheapest option because you're not getting your own space, but again, you are getting a whole house with a family. So it's a great option to kind of enjoy that atmosphere. And then students are able to live off campus right away. So they want to get a private apartment, a condo, or have any friends or family living in the area, they can actually live off campus and do that. So again, cost. This is going to be probably a slide that everyone either take a picture of or it will be sent out. But this is what the cost for one academic year is going to be like here at Shoreline. So you see the big circle at the bottom. Excuse me. So the cost with room and board, health insurance, books, fees, and personal expenses is going to be $19,900. So I always round up to about $20,000 per year. So that is a full academic year, 3 quarters, room, board, fees, everything, all in. It's going to be less than $20,000 a year. So it's a very, very good cost for education here at Shoreline. And the cool thing right now, if you have any students who are interested in starting in the fall online, so in a week and a half when classes start, we're still accepting applications for students to start online here for the fall. So that bottom section there, that almost $9,000 for room, board, health insurance, and other expenses, that doesn't exist right now because we're fully online. So right now, if a student wants to take the fall quarter, they're going to be paying less than $3,500 for an entire quarter of academic here at Shoreline. If they want to do the winter online as well, which is almost an entire academic year, they're going to be looking at less than $7,000 for a full, so academics are very, very cheap here at Shoreline, which doesn't mean that it's a bad education. Like I mentioned earlier, we are a great education, but because we are a community college, we are state funded, and we have a lot of international students and students coming to us. We have over 10,000 students on our campus. We can keep our costs low at tuition because we have so many students wanting to come to Shoreline that we can pay back and keep our campus running at a good cost. So again, if students are interested in taking online classes for the fall of 2020, which starts in a week and a half, we are still accepting applications. I want to make that very clear. If you have any students who are interested in starting now, we can still accept them here at Shoreline, get them on the way to starting classes, and hopefully maybe come winter, they can come to campus and start living here in the Seattle area with 1/4 of education under their belt, saving themselves almost $4,000 of housing. So it's a great option right now, and that is the current cost of what Shoreline is. Some quick cost comparisons. I think this is a fun slide. So for 1 year of academics, like I just mentioned, we are under $20,000 a year. The graph kind of speaks for itself what the cost of other universities and colleges in the area that we transfer to kind of can be. So California, Berkeley, $64,000 a year. Washington State, University of Washington, excuse me, $56,000 a year. Drexel University out in Philadelphia, $70,000 for 1 academic year of room, tuition, board, everything. So you can save yourself quite a bit of money when it comes to coming to a community college for 2 years. We say we basically cut the cost of what you're going to pay in half. It's a pretty good opportunity to get a great education, get into a dream school, and save yourself a lot of money and time. We do offer a quick $500 merit-based scholarship with automatic consideration, and it's awarded upon admission. We have very few of these opportunities, scholarships, so most of the time most students will not receive this. We only have about 10 a year that we're able to offer. But again, as I just mentioned, our tuition is very, very cheap. So that $500 scholarship is not going to be a make or break for students able to come or not. And then the application. We had a few questions about how to apply. So our application is listed here in the link below. I do want to point out that the dental hygiene and the direct nursing applications are different, and I can definitely send those to you, or Priyanka or Diksha can send those to you when you need those applications. But I do want to point out that if the student has not taken any college level courses in biology, chemistry, anatomy, physiology, they will be applying into the pre-dental hygiene program and the pre-nursing program, which gets them classes into the direct admission programs that we have at Shoreline. So they'll be using this application here. So I feel like many of your students will be applying to those programs, so they can use this link here. We're going to ask for English placement, a personal statement, unofficial transcripts, and then there is a $50 application fee. To that point, here are the ESL and College Bridge exempt scores. So for the TOEFL, we need a 70 with a 20 in the writing, and IELTS a 5.5 with a 6.0 in the writing. Duolingo is not listed on here and we're only taking it when we're fully online, because it is a good language exam, but it's not one of the more highly ranked ones, which is going to be TOEFL and IELTS. We do take SAT and ACT as well, but for Duolingo, we're looking for about a 95 or higher for exempt for English for ESL. And now we're to the questions. So I know there's a bunch of questions here in the Q&A, and I do apologize for not getting to them right away. But Priyanka has popped back in here, so she'll kind of help with the Q&A session here. So thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you so much, Andrew. It was such a wonderful presentation and detailed. So I'm sure that a lot of people already got a lot of information. So I'll just quickly pick up a few of the questions. One is related to the current COVID-19 situation, and it is about the visa. So what is the possibility of getting a visa approval for a students willing to study in the US in current COVID-19 situation?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question. Every school is kind of going through this a little bit differently. But the cool thing I would like to say, just as a kind of a success story for Shoreline right now, is for this fall, I did mention we're doing a few hybrid options for classes. So we actually had a student from Singapore who was like, I really want to come to the US. Like, I want to start classes. They're able to take visa interviews months ago because they were still open already. And he actually got into the US, is actually living on campus right now, and he's going to be taking classes online. One class he will be having in person, which is the hybrid option, which allows him to come into the US. But again, that was a success story that we had here in the fall. So even during the COVID-19 crisis, we still had some visas offered and issued to Shoreline, even amidst almost not having any options for in-person classes anyway. So once we are open for fully online or fully in-person classes, we are expecting to have visas come through. We've worked with MSM in the past, and we've had successful students come to campus. I don't think we've actually ever had a student fully denied that has applied to Shoreline through working with you guys. So it's been a really great success story with that, and we do a lot of training for students to make sure before they go to their visa interview that they have all their questions answered and they know what to say and kind of go through that process. So we really do work with all of our students on a one-on-one basis, making sure that they have the best opportunity and chance to get that visa. But just generally speaking, we do have a very good success rate, which again shows why we have the 18th largest international population in the country for community colleges.
Great, thank you for that, Andrew. And yes, we will be definitely willing to help the students for visa interview preparation, because somewhere it is important that students are well prepared before going to the visa interview and presenting themselves in front of the visa officers. So yeah, Andrew, another question is about the graduate students, because since Shoreline offers associate degrees, so what are the different options available for the graduate students?
Great question. Yeah. So as we are a community college, we do only offer associate's degrees. So students looking to start their bachelor's degrees. However, as I did mention, we have those professional and technical certificate and degree programs, which graduate level students are able to apply to. So as I mentioned earlier, we have students who come to us as associate's degree students, bachelor degree students, master's and PhD and doctoral students coming back to our campus to take classes from us to continue their education, or maybe to change subjects or focus areas. So as I mentioned, that RN program, if a student has maybe done a bachelor's degree in some sort of medical field, like I really want to get my RN, they can apply into the RN program. Or if they want to become a dental hygienist, or if maybe they are already a nurse and they're like, I want to continue my degree, but like I don't know how to go, that medical technician program would be a great program for them. Or we also have healthcare management as a professional technical degree. So maybe that nurse who already has their bachelor's degree wants to work into a management role at a hospital. There you go, healthcare management. Gives you that opportunity to get that promotion to maybe becoming head nurse in a hospital. So we do have programs for students who are looking at that post bachelor's degree level, so that master's degree level. However, I do want to point out they're not master's programs. It's not going to be a full-fledged 2-4 year master's degree program. These are professional and technical degrees that are very specific to a specific field or program area. It is a degree, it is a certificate that they can put on their resume, but it's not going to be at a master's level.
Great, thank you for that. And related to it also, there is a question, are these programs offered are STEM-based program? And if yes, then what is the benefit to go for STEM-based programs?
Yeah, so STEM-based programs, many of our programs that we have when it comes to our medical programs or engineering, mathematics, those are STEM-based programs. So it's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's what STEM called, basically the acronym itself. And what that allows students to do is once they finish their bachelor's degree in a STEM field, they get 3 additional years of working here in the United States. So instead, if you don't get a STEM program, you get 1 year. A STEM program, you get 3 years of additional work on OPT. So it extends their working opportunities here in the US on their F1 visa. But also, I don't like saying this because I know a lot of students and families are like, yep, I want my student to go into a STEM-based field because of this. Humanities are still a great program. You can still have a high earning salary, but generally speaking, the starting salaries of STEM program areas and jobs are going to be a higher paying job off the get-go. But they are more competitive. So you kind of weigh those cost benefits to that. So I myself, I was not a STEM-based student. I worked in humanities. I was actually a broadcaster. I worked for the National Broadcasting Company at NBC here in the United States for a little bit before I made the transition to higher education. Great job market there, lots of opportunities within that field. I made as much as many of my friends did who worked as engineers and things like that. So there are options there, but a large majority of our programs are going to be STEM-based, and the biggest reason why students choose to do STEM-based programs for education is because they get that 3 years of OPT upon graduation.
Great, thank you for that, Andrew. So here the answers are there for OPT, and also Andrew has shared his experience also that humanities or non-STEM based program also have got a lot of weightage, so don't take them lightly.
Exactly.
Now another question, because we have very less time, so I'll quickly take just 2 questions here. And for the ones those we will not be able to answer right now, don't worry. Our team will definitely get in touch with you and reply to each one of your question personally. Now, another question is about nursing and program. So what is the difference between RN nursing program and any other nursing program?
Great question. Yeah. So the RN nursing program, that's the registered nurse program, that is going to be that direct nursing program. So students who have already met the prerequisites courses at the college level, so their biology, anatomy, physiology, chemistry, statistics courses, they've already taken those at a college level, they can apply directly into the RN program, registered nurse program. The pre-nursing program is going to be for students who have never taken a college course toward a nursing degree, and they can get those what we call prerequisite courses out of the way, like their basic biology, chemistry, statistics, physiology, anatomy, and physics. Physics is also required for nursing degrees here in the United States. So they'll take those courses within their first academic year here at Shoreline, and then they'll apply into the RN program. Most of them do get in because obviously when you're coming from Shoreline's pre-nursing program into the RN program, you have a leg up on any other student applying into that program. But then you can also take courses toward other degrees as well if you're interested and say, hey, I'm really interested in nursing, but like that medical lab technician course is really interesting as well. So you can, during that pre-nursing time, you can actually take courses toward other programs, but still make yourself eligible for the RN program.
Great. Thank you for that. So another question is from Nigeria, and they want to know that how will you help students coming from Nigeria into Shoreline, because getting a visa into US is a bit tough, or what are the different considerations?
Great question. So fortunately enough for us, one of my counterparts, Lisa, she's actually my boss. She's been in the field for a few more years than I have. She actually works almost all of Africa. She's been going to all parts of Africa for quite a few years now, and Shoreline's been going there for a long time as well. So luckily enough for us, we have a pretty big name across Africa, and in Nigeria specifically. We know that visas are hard to get, much harder than some other countries in the world, unfortunately. But the cool thing about that is the fact that Shoreline does actively recruit and actively promotes its name out into many, many countries. So we work with students individually. As Priyanka mentioned, that they do individual sessions with students applying for visas to support them in that visa effort. And I actually do know the Education USA advisors in Nigeria. We do have some contacts from alum in the area as well. So having all those connections can really read well to getting visas and getting a good name out there for Shoreline. So we really do everything we can to support our students and alumni within every country that we work with. So we're hoping that once we get a few more students from Nigeria to campus, I think we have one currently on campus. They might have graduated, I'm not sure at this point, because I'm not on campus right now. But we will work with students individually to make sure that they have the best option and best qualifications they can to get that visa once they're able to come to campus. So I know it's very difficult and it's a very ominous kind of situation right now, but we really do what we can.
Yes, for sure. So we'll try and support to our level best in order to ensure that our students are well prepared for the visa interview. Andrew, we'll have to take a leave right now, and the people, those whose questions have not been answered, don't worry. We'll be happy to address your questions individually. You can get in touch with our team member, Deeksha, and she, I'm sure, must be in contact with most of you. So, Andrew, any last words from you for the audience who's listening?
I just wanted to say thank you, everyone, for attending this evening or afternoon. Glad to see that we have some partners here from Nigeria on the call as well. So I just wanted to thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk to you guys. As for Priyanka and Diksha on the call, thank you guys so much for supporting this and supporting Shoreline through all of your efforts. We are still here, even though we're working remotely. So if you do have any questions, please reach out to all of us. We're all here to support you guys and your students. Obviously, we're here to support the students to make sure that they have the best opportunities for their future careers and dreams and goals. And I really do support that in any way I can. I work, unfortunately and happily, all the time, evening, morning, noon, night, here in Seattle. So if you do have any questions, please email me. I will probably get back to you within about 12 to 24 hours at the latest. So thank you so much again for joining us today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at any time.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your time. I know it's like early right now, though you have always been available, like you mentioned, all the time, whenever we want your help. So definitely, we'll be taking more help from you related to Shoreline Community College. And I would like to thank all the people, those who joined in today for this wonderful session on Shoreline Community College. For any questions and queries, we'll be happy to get in touch with you. You can get in touch with our team member, Diksha. I'm sure you'll all have the contact details. And in the end, I would say please take care of yourself and your loved ones. Though COVID-19 situation, we'll have to live along with it, but safety is something which is very important. So take care. Yeah.